Welcome to the Diplomats. It's a name we are actually product testing here to see if people like it. But this is the podcast by Umble the Heap and Go Horns Go from the Nexus Discord server, talking about the Nexus Season 4 online championships. We are 50% of the way through the game. I am joined by Umble the Heap, diplomacy player and diplomat extraordinaire, and our podcast is brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com. Umble, good evening. Tell us about diplomacybriefing.com.
Diplomacy Briefing is a weekly email that keeps everyone updated on what's going on in the diplomacy hobby, whether face-to-face or online. It covers all the different sites, all the different upcoming tournaments. This particular issue that's going to be coming out is going to be all focused on DixieCon, and hopefully we're going to also be reading an article from the champion of DixieCon, who beat me out and won the whole thing. So hopefully we're going to be getting an article. I'm supposed to be receiving it late tonight. So
that is quite the coup that you got Mr. Klein to write an article already.
Well, that usually takes about 2 weeks for the tournament writers to do it, and that's kind of what I was expecting. But he's been working hard on it, so he tells me, and hopefully we'll be hearing it, or everybody will be reading it, I should say, this next Friday, tomorrow.
All right, so let's turn our attention to the game. We're going to go over all the moves in the year 1906. And so you should see the map in front of you.
I do.
Very interesting. But the first thing I want to go to is you really encouraged that convoy to occur. Of course, that was recorded and not released until after it occurred, but it looks like a correct prediction and the best move possible for Germany and France, I guess.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see that they did that. And that brings, everything. I mean, obviously this was all planned out then, the move to the Irish, the move to the English Channel, and it's worked out beautifully. I really like it. I'm very interested over these next several years to see what happens to this French-German alliance, but I love those moves.
Do you walk back your comments about the convoying should have occurred earlier with the fleet move to mid-Atlantic?
Yeah, definitely. At the end of our podcast, when we kind of when I saw that, I said, well, if they do that, then this is exactly perfect. And they did it, and so much credit to them. I'm really glad to see that happened. I'm not 100% sure if they needed to go to Liverpool right away. There might have been some other things to do, but it can just sit out there in the fall. That's not going to be an issue. It doesn't really matter either way. But actually, you know what? That may not be I don't know. I mean, Germany's obviously going to go for London. That's not really an issue. But yeah, I like it. And Turkey I think that was probably a smart thing to do there. Bounce Marseille. The only thing though is if France was trying to be sneaky, France could have not gone to Gulf of Lyon and disrupted so that he wouldn't have lost Tunis. But it works out.
Well, I'm looking here as France still has Tunis, but obviously it is in danger at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When you say disrupted, what do you mean precise? What move?
Well, if Marseille would have just not moved there.
Yes. Okay. Allow the move to go through for Turkey. Therefore, there's only one on Tunis.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that was a little risky to do that.
Let's move to, we can quickly dispense with England not building a number of curious moves, that being the most curious of them all.
Right.
Not much to do with two fleets. Doesn't protect any home centers. Instead, does essentially a useless tap of Denmark and the German fleet in the Baltic.
Yep, it seems pretty clear that England's days are numbered. no friend anywhere to help, and it's Russia doesn't even help into the Baltic. There's nothing. England's gone. Went from so promising to now nothing left.
How do you explain Baltic or Germany supporting himself into Denmark, which obviously fails, but what's the logic behind that, if any?
Well, the only logic there could be they were wondering if Russia would support north to Denmark, and who knows, England may have been expecting that. England may have thought he was going to get that kind of support, and so by doing that support, you make sure that you're not going to lose it. And if for some reason Denmark gets into the North Sea, that's just all the better.
All right. Germany here still not in bad position. Is on the continent. Has the alliance with France.
Yeah.
It looks like the truce with Russia might hold, except for that move to Livonia by Russia.
Yeah, it's interesting what that thought process is going to be and why that particular move set. Obviously, Germany has to be a little bit concerned, I suppose, but I don't know. It's still kind of too early to know what's going to happen. Germany's going to be getting a build, and we'll see. Turkey did not make the moves that I recommended, and
but hang on. Let me ask you one question about Germany before you move to Turkey, because, sorry, I think last podcast you said something words to the effect of Germany's got to really account for itself and determine like where it's going to grow next, and it can easily grow through France. Now it's on the continent, but it can also grow theoretically through Russia. And I like that move of Russia to Livonia from St. Petersburg.
Yeah, you're maybe trying to discourage Germany from looking your direction, so that's definitely an option. I mean, Germany built 2 fleets, and England's got one more center left. So after this turn, so those fleets are going to have to be used for something, and Russia's got to kind of think, well, I may be next on the menu. So doing all of that, maybe it's trying to discourage that. I think Germany, by taking London, was the right move. His next move, he needs to get into the North Sea. That's really, really important for him. To such a case that I would probably recommend in this fall move, to probably go to Helgoland, Blake, or Skagerrak and get that fleet over into Denmark, because you really need to take the North Sea, I think, if you want to keep being a player. You don't want France to get it, that's for sure.
Okay. So now you are about to talk about Turkey and Turkey's disastrous fail to move Smyrna to Armenia, put the Russian army in Armenia, meaning Turkey has to make a 50-50.
Yeah.
Smyrna holds again, presumably that was his guess. Who knows with Turkey? And now Russia got into Armenia, and Austria gets into Romania, although without Russian help. So
it's a ridiculous move. He moves out of Romania, and rather than going Bulgaria to Constantinople like I recommended, so that you didn't lose anything to Russia, because they would have bounced. Think about that. If he would not have supported Austria in, Russia and Austria would have bounced, and he would have had some good options of keeping Romania. I think there'd be definitely some real possibilities to do so. So by not moving Khan back, now he's going to lose. Well, I suppose there's a way that he doesn't lose a unit, but I think you didn't need to move out of there, and moving back to Constantinople would have got it. I think I know what he's maybe trying to do. I guess his thought is I'll support Smyrna up into Ankara and then move Bulgaria down to Constantinople, but I don't think that's the most efficient way to do it. I don't think that's the most efficient way to do it at all. You literally could have sat there and you know, made sure that you at least only lost Romania, and you might have been able to get some support there from Italy. I don't know, but you should have
Well,
probably
you're
done it.
right. He didn't move Balkan and he didn't move Albania to Greece, so now there's real vulnerability.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. It's just I don't think I think it gives you less options in some way. And I don't know why you would support Budapest, Romania, because if you're going to do that move set, I don't think that was the best way to
Well,
do
he's
it.
not coordinating with Italy either, who looks like he's supporting Bulgaria to Romania.
Yeah,
Bulgaria, of course, didn't move to Romania.
that's really weird to me. Why you would support that? I don't get that.
Oddly enough, if Bulgaria had moved to Romania, it would have still left
I mean,
Romania in Turkish hands.
obviously the reason he did it is because he wanted to make sure Austria got it and Russia didn't. That's why he did it. But if you're going to be working with Austria, you should be dropping that Albanian army back to Greece
It
because
seems to me the deal is to get Austria what into Sevastopol or Sevastopol.
yeah, I mean that could be an offer, but once again the issue there is if you do that, then Russia's going to be getting one of your centers. So if you want to keep Russia from getting something, you're going to have to support Smyrna to Ankara and Bulgaria back to Constantinople. And if you're going to be doing all this, Albania supporting, I don't know how you support Austria, pump up Austria in that situation, and don't move Albania back. Now, perhaps we're starting to see well, it's not yet. I was saying perhaps we're starting to see an AI working together, but Italy's on the wrong page with everybody, it seems. France doesn't go for Venice, and Turkey doesn't go for Romania. And I just think all in all, that was a bad play all around. I
All
don't
right,
think Turkey made good moves. I
all right.
think
So
too,
go
one more
ahead.
thing. I think Turkey, if they're going to be doing all of this stuff, if you got to lose a center, if you absolutely have to lose a center, um, I mean, you're getting Tunis, so you don't actually have to lose a piece. I think moving back, I think giving up Romania is fine if you have to, but Albania should go to Greece, and most definitely, um, you're going to have to use then Bulgaria to Con and maybe Greece to Bulgaria in the next move set.
Well, while we're there in the Balkans, another good turn for Austria,
Yeah, amazing job, great job. Austria's been able to just kind of play people.
hanging around. He's been
Off.
hanging around. Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, he worked with Russia to get Budapest, Germany to get Venice, and now he's working with Turkey to get Romania. And he's just every single person. He's being able to play everybody off themselves to grab a great position in the Balkans. And very easily, this turn could end with him at 6, and that's just amazing to go from 2 to 6. And if that's the case, he's going to immediately bolt himself back into the conversation of being able to win this entire thing. So just an amazing job there in the spring. Great job.
All right, let's look at Italy. Not just the country, but not just the power, but the country. First, thoughts on the curious bounce in Piedmont by the German and French allies.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting. The only thing I can guess is they must have planned that because they thought maybe Austria would try it, just maybe a defensive move. All right, that's the only thing I can think of. It's just a defensive move there, because it doesn't really have any point other than that, and they still seem to be working together. So I don't think that was Germany trying to get a jump on France or anything.
All right, and I can't tell, but is Rome trying to support Tuscany into Venice?
Right. And if Germany worked together on that,
could have happened.
yeah, they could, and you might see that in the fall. I don't. It probably, honestly, would probably be in Germany's interest for Turkey to grow, and be kind of a counterbalance there. But that might be hard with France. But it probably is in his interest actually to help Italy to me, get a little bit more of a foothold. But there's been a lot of bad blood between Italy and Austria, and that may not be something that can be fixed.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this board before we look at the fall moves?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I love Spain holding. His thought maybe I'm going to get dislodged from Tunis, so I want to have the option. But I would have probably leaned towards putting it in Gascony. I I don't know. It seems like, in Gascony, it's going to do a better job of being able to do defensive moves. So that's probably more of where I would have leaned. So I don't love that, but the thought process, I guess, may have been I'll convoy over to North Africa, perhaps.
All right.
That's it.
I'll be curious to see if Russia goes full-throated on Romania. We'll see what happens. We're going to switch the window now. I've got fall 1906 here. Russia takes Romania back, but Austria gets Bulgaria and Serbia.
It's interesting. So he cuts his own support.
All right. Well, let's. I'm looking at this totally fresh. I don't know. So before we hit that, let's do the easy things first. Wales goes to London, gets the build.
And this, that's somewhat interesting to me because that's kind of a gamble a little bit, right? Because England can go and try to block London, and instead he hopes that France, I guess, is going to support him to London. So it was kind of, I guess, a gamble on what was going to happen. Probably going and hitting London would have actually probably been the better thing, but it doesn't matter. I mean, technically,
what about this sneaky move that England makes for Germany's dot? You think that was arranged because they were worried about the English fleet?
What do you mean? What move?
Look at fleet English Channel to Belgium.
Oh, that had to be
have been arranged.
Yeah, they've been working so closely.
Well, that explains why there was no support into London.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was meaning. That it was a little bit risky. I guess I would have probably, if I was Germany, I would have probably said, no, you need to give me that support to London, and I'll do Holland to Belgium, Kiel to Holland. So, yeah, I don't like. I would have. You're making a risk, and you want that build. I would have demanded support. I don't think that was the best way to do it. I'm not sure why they. France is probably in some ways a good thing. Like if I'm France, I'm probably trying to get England to go to London and maybe slow Germany down some. But I think doing that with Germany is a good thing. But it worked out for Germany. He went to Hegland Bleich. That's great. I think that's the move you got to do. And now he's set to be a player on the North Sea, which is phenomenal. You want to be the one that owns that.
England down to one dot. Germany gets a build. Mm-hmm. England has a disband. Mm-hmm. And France stays even because although France gains, Liverpool loses Tunis.
Yeah. France is in an interesting spot because they're going to start running out of places to grow. Right? So France has kind of played this game where they've not really carved out a dominant place. They were so focused on taking Italy down, and in a lot of ways, you only created a vacuum in the East. And so France now has not capitalized on any of that. They don't have Tunis. They don't have Naples. And they've got one center in England. They've got Liverpool. But Germany's in a much stronger position right now than France is. And France doesn't really have a lot of places to go. They're most likely not going to make a lot of progress in the Med. They might get something. They're not going to make progress on Germany. They're not going to, maybe they get one more for England. And so some ways France has started to box himself in. And he's going to really need to work his diplomatic magic and make some more enemies for Germany. Maybe it. I there's been some really great things that I've enjoyed to see France do, but I feel like they've limited their chances to win for a few different ways. But they're still the same. They're still at 6.
Tell me what you think about the the German army in Tyrolean moving to Munich. Doesn't want to be a player in the Balkans anymore. And if I was France, I would not like that move at all.
No, no, it's definitely not in your favor. It's better than Piedmont, which honestly, moving to Piedmont and then building in Munich would have been really strong.
Ooh. He probably doesn't want to turn the screw just yet, right? He's going to want the North Sea, but he's got the army on the continent. On England, and France doesn't have that. So it's dangerous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, he's got to time everything right. I mean, that's the key, because France obviously is going to want Russia and himself at some point, I would say, to split Germany up. That would be a good long-term goal for him to win. And so he's got to kind of play it right. I'm not sure going Tyrolia to Munich is really that great. You're going to be getting a build anyway. And I think having an army in Tyrolia is kind of nice, because you can kind of play the broker in what's going on. It probably wouldn't have hurt for Germany to grab Vienna instead, in my opinion.
I thought about that. I mean, obviously it could have happened, or helping France into Venice if he was a true ally.
Right. And here's the hilarious thing. And this is why not doing Albania to Greece in the spring was so terrible, because what happens then is Turkey walks right into Khan, and so he loses Bulgaria and Romania this turn. So Austria, there was no resistance to come in, and it was because he didn't do Albania to Greece in the spring. So that was a real mistake. If you're going to be helping Austria into your own center, then why are you supporting Serbia? So anyway, in a lot of ways, I feel like Turkey set up his loss in the spring by the move sets he did. So
it's not looking good for either of the twin corner powers here, England and Turkey.
Turkey still got a lot of play. It's not over for him at all, but he really took a step back this year. And Austria, man, I'll tell you what, they have been able to take a situation and play people against each other, and it has come out really, really well for him. And Italy was supporting Romania to Bulgaria. So Italy, once again, chooses wrong who to trust. Poor guy. And that's interesting. So I don't understand. Is Italy not like having conversations with anybody? He supports Tyrrhenian Sea to Tuscany, which doesn't happen. He's making all these supports that don't happen. And I don't know. It seems like he's just lost a lot of diplomatic credibility with people, because nobody's really helping him or working with him. Not in any way.
Funny that he had an army in Serbia die twice.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Right. Now he's down to 2.
He's down to 2. And Russia. I wonder if Russia and Austria really are still together.
Russia gets a build here. And now the only thing I don't like about that is you had to have known the Black Sea, right? The Black Sea was going to be supporting up. I think he should have done Sevastopol to Romania, and then you could build that fleet if you really wanted to go all in, because you're not going to be able to make a lot of headway against Turkey without being able to break some of that support. So, and you've got no fleet that's going to help you. Italy's not going to be sending a fleet your way. So you really got to build something if you want to crack Turkey's shell. So I would say Sevastopol to Romania would have been the better move set than Ukraine to Romania. So I think there's kind of a real mistake there. Also, it's just a stronger position. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Okay, anything to say before we look at the builds? I want you to predict where. Well, Germany obviously builds in Berlin, but what
Hmm.
does he build?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would have preferred him keep Munich open. I think that you would have given yourself more options because you could have built that army there and given yourself a lot of flexibility on what direction to go. You know what I think? With how Germany's moving, I think we're going to see an army Berlin, and I'm not going to be surprised if he moves on Russia this next turn.
Well,
Uh,
wouldn't Russia build Army Warsaw?
well, I mean, he could do a fleet in St. Petersburg or somewhere like that. That's definitely an option. Um,
South
yeah,
Coast?
probably, probably so. But he's got Sweden there, so he could always still do North Coast and be a little bit of a player there on that. But that's probably not the best. He's soft in the middle, so yeah, probably Army Warsaw's the thing to do. But he's got to watch himself because Austria's getting two builds, and I really think Russia's about to get smashed. Um,
Tell me
it's what
the
makes
appropriate time that for Austria to build fleets in Trieste. Not
yeah,
necessarily in this game, but just in. That's always a challenge for me as Austria is when I need to be a player on the fleet scene.
yeah. If he probably has. Turkey's going to be really tough to do anything with against because he's got the stronger presence, and they don't have a fleet to help. So it's going to be interesting to see how the spring goes there. Um,
One guess on the disband. Turkey gets a disband,
right.
and that's a challenging disband.
Yeah.
I don't think you disband the black.
No.
I wouldn't want to disband Greece.
No. Though he's probably going to be losing Greece.
Well, not if he can. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that might be a goner. Any thoughts before we
Yeah.
flip it over and see what he did?
Well, I think it really comes down. There are lots of diplomacy. Who can you really trust to work with you? In my opinion, there's a lot of reasons for you to work with Russia. So maybe you say, look, if we keep going this direction, Austria is going to ultimately be the winner. You're in Romania. I can get you. If I'm at Turkey, I would even offer to support Russia into Romania. And so maybe you make some kind of a deal
Russia's
where
in Romania.
I'm sorry, into Bulgaria. I would even support Russia into Bulgaria to try to get something. So, I mean, the most likely one to do, I would say, would probably be Tyrrhenian Sea. So, my guess would be if you're Turkey, that's what you're doing. I think Germany's going to build an army in Berlin. Russia, probably Army Warsaw, two armies for Austria. And I'm going to say Tyrrhenian Sea is what's pulled off. And England, probably Bothnia, I guess, is what you have to do. So,
Doesn't matter.
mhm.
Okay. Let's see what actually happened.
Interesting. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So England
that
took
deal.
off Bothnia. Army in Berlin, which is, I think, what you just predicted, but Army Moscow.
Mhm.
Neither of us mentioned Moscow.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'd say it feels a little passive. You
Yeah.
know,
Safe.
it's not even safe. It feels like it's very underwhelming. Like you could have an army in Warsaw and maybe discourage Germany from coming towards you. Just, but um, it looks like Turkey. I think what we're going to see is an RT form here because they see the writing on the wall. Austria's got those land armies. Russia's got to see that Austria is going to be going for him at some point. So I think we're going to see, you disband Ankara because you believe you have a deal with Russia. So I don't like the Moscow build, though. I think that's terrible. I mean, it doesn't. It's just not. It's not going to help you, and there's no reason to be indecisive right now. There's no reason to be that at all. I think we're going to see German armies most likely going towards Russia, but I would say, obviously, France is wide open. But I think keeping that army in Tyrolia would have been a much better thing for going for Marseille.
I like the prediction of the RT because it's going to be really hard for Austria to grow further into Turkey.
Right.
If you're Russia, you have to see that. There's no fleet. You're not going to get into Anatolia moving Bolda Khan.
Yeah. You can get Greece, but by then, and Austria's got a year. He can grab Greece and grab Romania, and set himself up to really kind of hold the heartland there. I think we're going to see. That's the problem with not having a fleet down there. And
well, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if Berlin moves to Prussia, Munich moves to Silesia to set up the attack on Russia, and then Austria enters Vienna to Bohemia, Trieste to Tyrolia?
Yeah, that would be something. I don't think Austria has a lot of, I guess if he keeps working with Russia, maybe, but then why would Russia build Moscow in such a scenario?
Right.
That's the move of somebody that doesn't quite know what he's doing, because he's got nothing to grab in the north, right? He's really got nothing to grab in the south. I mean, the only thing I can think of, I mean, technically, I guess he could go Armenia to Syria and Sevastopol to Armenia, and then Moscow to Sevastopol. But man, if you do that, you are inviting Austria or Germany to just eat you up.
Let me ask you this about Russia in the north.
Yeah.
What's the plan? Just mutual support?
Yeah.
You can't grow. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck.
No. You should have. There were a lot of different options. In fact, probably a really great option would have been St. Petersburg North Coast, and then shifted that fleet into the Baltic or Bothnia and shifted everything around. Got Norway.
That was what it's hinting at.
Yeah. If you could pull that off, that's probably, or even if it goes Skagerrak, Norway to Sweden, St. Petersburg to Norway. I'm sure there's a way you could pull some things off and at least grow. I feel like committing all these armies to the south is not. It's definitely not.
I think we'll see the grand shift. Romania to Bulgaria, Sevastopol to Romania, Armenia to Sevastopol.
So, yeah. So
I agree.
An
RT. I think it's the only option for Russia right now.
It could happen. You might see a convoy to Romania, and Romania might go up to Galicia. Or you might see that convoy and Turkey support Bulgaria down. I mean, Romania to Bulgaria, I should say. You might see a convoy into Romania, and then Romania gets support down into Bulgaria. I think but again, you would want to put an army in Warsaw. So I don't like Moscow. I think it's a big waste. The only reason you build that is if you're going to continue to attack Turkey.
Okay, awards time. Who had the best 1906?
Oh yeah, Austria by far. Germany's not far behind though.
Which power would you want to be?
Oh, Germany. Yeah, Germany for sure. Germany's not got really any legitimate threats at this point, and got a great opportunity to, attack France. He's going to have to be very careful though, because once he begins to make some inroads on France, Austria and Russia are going to have their sights on him. So, it doesn't hurt him to focus and grab some stuff in the north and not attack France right away, because France can't really grow. And what's going to happen here is he can force the North and then convoy an army, right? He can then convoy an army right into Edinburgh. So I think what we're going to see, if you want, quick predictions for the spring. You know, so for me personally, I think we're going to see Armenia to Syria actually, and Sevastopol to Armenia and Moscow down. I think that's what we're going to see. I would probably do Livonia to Prussia in that case, just to play defense. And Norway and Sweden hold.
Moscow to Ukraine?
No, well, it could, but I think it's going to go down into Sevastopol.
Okay.
I don't see why you do Moscow and not attack Turkey. I don't think that's what he should do. I would lean towards helping Turkey in that scenario. I guess it's not great either way. He probably has to attack Turkey so he can get some more builds. But man, Austria can pretty much go it alone to hold the Balkans. And if he's got a friend in Germany, which is one of the things I would be cultivating, he can grab a lot of Russia and be fine. Yeah, because Austria's going to get Greece, but then it's over after that. He can't get anything more. So Russia's probably next. I don't see Austria attacking Germany. I don't see the reasoning that much behind it. I think Russia's going to be next on the menu, probably, and could be in the fall. So what I foresee happening is probably Serbia to Albania. It doesn't really matter. Trieste can go to Albania because Venice is probably safe. Vienna to Tyrilia would be a good move, actually. It'd be good to lock that down because you can do some more fun things with.
It's good offensively and defensively.
Right. And you can say, look, man, I know you got down there, but I wanna hang out because something's about to explode. There's about to be some shifts going on, and so being in Tyrilia will give him some options.
And the main reason for that is there's only 8 movements left. The game ends fall 1910, and now you're going to start to see people thinking, I got to grab centers.
Mm-hmm. France can't really do anything. I mean, I'm guessing he's probably going to convoy to North Africa, which I think is ridiculous. So I'm not going to be surprised to see that. He can get Tunis. It's just, once again, like, he's opening himself up so much to lose. I think he should go to Gascony, and you're going to be fine. Just sit it out right now, because if Turkey keeps losing units, eventually you're going to be able to walk in and grab the Italian peninsula. Just don't let yourself get stabbed. This is kind of interesting. So France right now has 2 army units. That's it. 4 fleets, 2 armies, which is what France started with. You're not going to win the game with 2 armies. So I don't.
Will 1907 see our first toilet flush?
Well, I don't. Well, what you can probably do, what you really need to do is you need to move north to York to balance that from going up. It may, but probably what's about to happen is Liverpool's going to go to Clyde.
Correct.
Someone's getting Edinburgh. So to answer your question, yes, I think by the end England will be gone, and
just 1 flush.
I think that's it. I think Italy's got another year in them. I don't see the reason for Austria to help France kill Italy. I think that deadlock is great for Austria. He can keep focusing, and
other than the fact that he hates Italy. But you're right.
Yeah, well, if you're allowing hate to be what determines your game plan here, then you deserve to lose.
Have you met Paula?
Well, yeah, no, he made the moves that were good for him. He's very flexible.
Okay, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I'll
really
take that as a no.
well, no, I'm just processing one or two more things. As France, you really want to get Russia on board with putting pressure on Germany. You need there to be pressure on Germany. You need to be working with Austria to get pressure. Because if there's no pressure on Germany and Germany wants to win, France is really the door to that. Though, really, he could probably grab some Russian units. But this is the moment, in a lot of ways, to do some of that. But
There's
it's
no
hard.
easy way for Germany to move on Russia in the north. He's going to take the North Sea, but
Well, he needs Austrian help to pull it off.
right.
I wonder, you know what? I wonder, if Austria and Germany work this together, they could really put the hurt on France pretty quick. I don't know if Austria would do that, though. I wouldn't if I was Austria.
I
It's in
wouldn't if I didn't know what was going on with Russia and Turkey.
See, and it's in Austria's benefit to work with Germany, I think, against Russia. But Austria's hard, the hard part for Austria is there's no fleet to help him. Surprised if Austria can't hold his position, because it's kind of precarious, right? Because if Turkey and Russia are working together, Bulgaria is gone.
You're going to have to swap out Greece for Bulgaria.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a terrible move. Go Bulgaria to Greece.
That's a highly defensible position at that point for Austria. I don't know if he'll move to Tyrolia with Vienna, but if he moved to Galatia, even if it was a bounce, it's not a bad position to be in, especially with fleets tied up.
That may be the move to make, actually, because you can if things, that may be the move to make. Take Greece, set yourself up to maybe take something else. Maybe move Vienna up to Galicia.
Trieste to Tyrolia. Or I don't know about that, but he'll probably.
It's really all diplomacy here. Figuring out where, who's going to attack who. So where's your opening? Because the reason Russia can't help him against Turkey, so it's kind of pointless. Personally, in my opinion, I think now's probably a good time for there to be an AT from Austria's perspective. Because there's nothing to be done with Turkey. So now's a good time for there to actually be an AT, but Russia has every reason to, in my opinion, to want to go with Turkey at this point. It is on a shoestring for France, for Austria, for Russia, for Turkey. Like, they're all, it is so precarious, and Germany's position. So yeah, what the moves they do is going to be very, very interesting. It's hard to predict anything because it's like whoever attacks first can get jumped by the others. So
the balance of power is very important.
Yeah, probably in this point, like if I'm Austria, if I'm Russia, if I'm Turkey, if I'm France or whatever, I think my focus more than probably even gaining centers would be, encouraging people to attack someone else. And then
always a good starting point in diplomacy.
Yeah. Right. Create yourself an opening in the spring for the fall and then make your decision. That's probably don't get too greedy in the spring. Try to get everybody fighting and grab what you want. Because I don't know if it's really the best time to be aggressive right now in spring 07. You probably
go ahead.
You probably want to pace yourself for this. Do it in the fall, get some stuff going in the 08, and then make your dash.
All right. That's a good place to end it. Thank you, Umble, for your commentary. Thanks to diplomacybriefing.com for sponsoring us. Can't wait to check out tomorrow's issue. And we will see you on the flip side of spring 1907. Good night, Umble.
Good night.